Good morning, church. Trust you're doing well, keeping safe this time of lockdown still. Hope you're getting some opportunity to remain connected with each other and with your friends and your family. And it's my honour and pleasure again today to bring you just some thoughts by way of devotion to encourage you, to lift your spirits, and to help you remember the important things in the middle of all this, or what God can teach us, even in this season. I'm a bit of a Hobbit, Lord of the Rings fan, I was thinking about one of the incidents in one of the tales where the young Hobbit meets Gollum, and in order to discover what he has in his pockets, he asks him a series of riddles, and one of the riddles is this. Let me read it to you and see if you can work out what's being described. This thing all things devours, birds, beast, trees, flowers, gnaws iron, bites steel, grinds hard stones to meal, slays kings, ruins town, and beats high mountain down. Wonder, can you work out what that is? It is, of course, time. Time seen here in this particular riddle as an enemy, something that wears us down, that steals from us our lives, our very lives, that corrupts things like iron and steel, that it ultimately works against us. And I was thinking about that, and that's, in some ways that's true, because tide and time wait for no man. We know that it marches on and it's relentless. However, when we stop and we appreciate time, we can suddenly understand that it's a gift as well as an enemy. And how you use things very often depends on the benefits you get from a thing. There are lots of things in life, music, creativity, art, and all those things can be used there for good or for evil. They're amoral. They're not bad or good. They can be used for good or for bad. And time is the same. In fact, in the Bible, Ecclesiastes says, and you'll be familiar with these words, there is a time for everything, a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on men. And here are the wonderful words of Solomon. He has made everything beautiful in its time and set eternity in the hearts of men. I want to encourage you today that in this season, God would have you understand the benefits of time. Don't think of this lockdown as stealing from you. Think of it as a gift from God. Think of it as an opportunity for you to gain things from being in His presence. God is in the gradual. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. In our society, our culture is so fixed on instant gratification. We want things now. We are not patient. We can't wait for things. We want it immediately. And whether that's a cup of coffee or whether it's a meal that we fire into the microwave, there's something about us that wants things and wants it now. But God is teaching us in this season that whilst sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's also good for us to wait. That there's a learning in the process. That there's a benefit in not getting things immediately. Imagine if our children just grew up like that, and sometimes it feels that way. But isn't it wonderful to look back on the photographs and see the different stages and appreciate the seasons? I remember somebody giving me advice when I first became a dad, and they said, Jonny, what do you think the most important season is in being a father? I said, I don't know. They said, the one that you're in, the season you're in, to appreciate it, to get the most from it, to value it. And we sometimes want to rush ahead. And yet God would teach us that whilst he can do things for us instantaneously and miraculously and turn a thing round in a moment, and he does that, he knows when that's right, but he also knows that there are times that we need to wait and appreciate the seasons and the stages. This principle is seen in a number of places in the Bible. Of course, there are miracles that Jesus performed where the blind could see immediately, the deaf could hear immediately, the dead were raised immediately. But more often than not, there's a process to our healing. There's a process to even our salvation. Let me give you a few examples to encourage you today. In Noah, in Genesis chapter 6 and 7, Noah experiences this global flood. And of course, we all know the story, and we rattle it off so quickly, 40 days and 40 nights. But the amazing thing is, when you delve into the text a little bit deeper, you discover that actually Noah was in that ark for 371 days. That's incredible. He was there when it started to rain. He was there when the rains abated. He was there then a bit longer when he sent out the dove and it returned. And even when the water was starting to subside, he had to wait a further 57 days. And you count it all together and it's over a year. Over a year, patiently waiting for God to accomplish what we think he did in 40 days and 40 nights. Our salvation comes in three ways too. We're saved instantly for eternity when we trust the Saviour. We're told that we will be saved when we see him completely. Our bodies and everything will be saved when we meet him on that other side in heaven. But in the meantime, we are being saved bit by bit, moment by moment, season by season. There's something to be gained from the process, so be encouraged. And then in Mark 8 we read the story of a blind man. He was healed, and it came in two different stages. First time Jesus touches him, his clarity is improved, but it's not perfect. He sees men like trees walking around. It's not sharp, the image isn't clear. And Jesus touches him a second time, and full clarity is brought. Why? Was it because Jesus couldn't do the miracle instantaneously? No. It was because he was teaching the man. In fact, he was teaching in the context of the others that were watching him, that he was reinforcing his own teaching. He said to me, you have eyes to see, but you don't see. You have ears to hear, but you're not hearing. In other words, you only see part of the picture. You're only getting part of the story. And to illustrate this, he brings this man his healing in two stages, showing him that there's value in the process, that there's something to be gained in the waiting. And so in this season of instant gratification, when the first things that open are Starbucks and McDonald's drive-thrus, where we just want to get what we need immediately, let me encourage you today that there's a time for everything. And perhaps this is your time to reflect on what God's doing in your life and just be thankful and be encouraged. He's working in you. He's working through you. We see through a glass darkly now, but then one day, face to face. So let me encourage you today as you think about these things in your own time. He's making everything beautiful, but it's in his time and not ours. May God bless you today and encourage you with these thoughts.